This is EarthX 2026. We're going to talk about soil with Lucas Evans on your left from E3 Agriculture in Texas, and with Benjamin Eymere from Paris, France, and representing the company Soilonic. Both of you are interested in soil, and both of you are interested in hemp. How do I combine these two words, soil and hemp?
Well, they can't exist without each other, and the best soil produces the best hemp, and I think consequently the best hemp can improve certain soils to a certain point. And so I got into this we sold my family farm because we were growing conventional crops, corn, wheat, soy, and cotton, and weren't making any money to do that. So I was looking for a new crop, and it's been around in Europe for at least 40 years and going back thousands of years all around the world, and been trying to kind of bring that model here to America. And so it was just fortunate that I met Benjamin in New York at a very nice dinner talking about soil and how they're able to value soil. And so, yeah, there's a lot
It
of ways.
it's actually interesting because what Lucas just described is exactly what happened to me in a different way. Because about 7 years ago, we sold the business that I was the CEO of for a long time, and my wife and business partner had a family farm, which was a conventional farm. And she said, "Okay, I'm fed up with you going to the countryside, sitting in front of the fireplace and doing nothing." I said, "I'm not a farmer." Uh, but she said, let's get to it. Let's understand what we can do. And then we talked to a somebody who was taking care of the farm for her father before. It was a quite older man, and he said, "I've always asked your dad to do hemp because that's good for soil." And that came from somebody with experience, and we had no idea. So we started using like AI research, and hemp seemed to be very good for soil. So
So let's explore that for a moment. I mean, crops usually deplete soil, and that's why we put in fertilizers and all these things. So why is that not happening with hemp? Why is hemp so special?
my understanding, and Lucas would probably have a different understanding, is that hemp is grows from Nepal to Malawi. If you compare to linen, because we looked at linen can grow from almost from the Netherlands all the way to the north of France, because there's a special salinity in the air that helps linen to grow. Hemp doesn't need water, or need very little water. Doesn't have sickness, so doesn't need pesticides. So, and has a very deep root system, which really cleans up the soil. I don't know if you have any other
Yes,
insights,
actually.
but that's the one I have.
Yep, and the deep taproot, a big problem in soil and conventional agriculture is that the soil is compacted. That leads to runoff, and so you plant the hemp, the roots go down there, break it up, they aerate the soil. You leave the roots behind, they break down, they deteriorate, giving space to get air and oxygen and carbon into the soil, and then feeding the microbes of the soil is.
It's an ideal crop. The funny thing is, you've been doing it now for several years. You refer to initiatives that have been doing it for a few decades. But you indeed said, yeah, this has been done for thousands of years. And so why did we lose the hemp culture idea? What happened?
I have two answers to that, but that's also based on research. Um, so I'll give you the contemporary answer, and I'll give you the older answer. The contemporary answer, I think hemp is suffering tremendously from the cannabis industry. I think a lot of like people are reluctant to invest in hemp because they're like, oh, this is cannabis. We were just talking about it with Lucas. Sometimes he has family offices joining him, and it's the pothead of the family that likes the hemp project. So that's the number one answer, is the bad reputation of hemp connected to cannabis. The second answer, when it comes to textile, which is our specialty at our farm in France, is that America wanted to develop nylon, sorry, back in the 30s, and so there was sort of a deal to say, okay, we're going to stop pushing on hemp, and we'll push on new materials. So historical factor, and at the same time
Cultural factor.
contemporary factor.
Yeah, I mean, all I can find is that it's maybe too good to have for the people, right? That can't have everybody be too free because you grow the hemp, you've got food, you've got clothing, and you've got building.
You have everything. So, but by the way, to be clear, even for this audience, there is a big difference between cannabis, which is also a variety of hemp, but and the hemp that you're growing. That's just
Well, the difference is that if you smoke it, you're gonna have a stomach ache. But the difference in variety of the plant is not that huge. I mean,
Well, it can specialize in 20 miles or 40 kilometers. A different hemp grows here and different hemp grows
yeah.
there. So it is a very unique and responsive crop. I think cotton and nylon and some of these other big industries were um, you know from a single crop you can displace three industries, and paper is another one which we're really interested in. And so just kind of overcoming that. And yeah, certainly in Texas today, people open up the newspaper, they see hemp is being regulated and banned. What they fail to mention is that is consumable smoking hemp. What we do for feeding animals and building houses is exempt from that. It's a commodity row crop. We are here to support farmers. They plant it with tractors, they harvest it with tractors, we grind it up, much like a cotton gin.
So it's an incredibly versatile crop, right? You can do so many things with it. Well, maybe one of you give me a list of what you can do with a hemp crop.
well, maybe we can tell you what we do, and
Okay, well,
if we
let's
together we.
Yeah, I'll count. I'll count.
Okay, so at our farm in France, we do textile.
Textile.
So that's with the fiber. We do construction material, but I leave Lucas detail that. And we do we take the grain, we press it, and we do cosmetic oil for the face,
Okay.
which could also be food.
Could be food, all right?
Could be food.
But
So
you
that's
don't do that yet.
No, we do the cosmetic because we'll speak about it later, I'm sure. But we want to have a sort of like high-end approach, very French wellness, high-end textile,
Quite
high-end
French.
construction, quite annoyingly French, right?
Annoyingly French, yes, we agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down to Texas.
Well, yeah. And
What do
we're,
we
I
do
think,
here?
a bit more practical and straightforward.
Yes,
So
of course.
we principally grow to harvest the seeds with like a Milo harvester, same equipment that they already have. We immediately take those seeds and feed them to animals. It's super high protein, 27% protein. There's omega oils. It's a superfood for humans and a superfood for animals. And so that's the seed to shelter is kind of the concept that we have. And then after we harvest the seeds, the stubble is left over in the field. We go back through with the hay, bale it up, square or round bales, grind that up, the leftovers essentially, and we turn those into houses and paper for us are really the two. And the building products under the shelter are the hempcrete, which is just a bio-based cement alternative. And then we have an OSB plywood replacement that you can see over at our booth right here, which is we're going after IKEA and cutting down trees to make poor quality furniture. We can make this right here an hour and a half away instead of having to ship in products from Canada and Norway and all these other places. And so
I think that's kind of the fantasy. You know, the fantasy is that can you take one field and can you do everything with it? That's a bit what I think where you where you're going is that Lucas and I can build a house with hemp. We need a bit of wood to structure it around, but then we can do the curtains with hemp textile and we can dress ourselves in our house. We can write each other love letters on hemp paper.
Yes.
And we can put a bit of cosmetic in the morning to look better. And then eventually we'll go and feed our animal with the same food that we've eaten ourselves as a very healthy breakfast. So it's kind of like, it's the total experience,
It's not so annoying after all.
right?
But is it, is there any crop in the world that can do as many things as you can do with hemp?
Not to my knowledge.
yeah, I mean, I came at this just looking for a solution and not looking at like, oh, I wanted to, get high or be a part of that culture. It was just what could produce the most cellulose, the most protein for the fastest with the least inputs. And hemp is the second fastest growing to bamboo, maybe is a little bit faster, but you don't really eat bamboo, and animals aren't going to have the seeds. People, maybe the shoots, but
We have bamboo in our farm. We planted bamboo, and I have to say that it's a very interesting, but it's not agriculture. It's forestry technique. So, in a way, it's kind of interesting to look at how forestry technique and agricultural technique can work together. You could actually eat bamboo shoots, but bamboo are very tough to cultivate in our climate. We're having a very hard time
That's
with
another
bamboo.
advantage of hemp, that it grows almost everywhere.
it
right?
does. Yeah, it's a weed, and so it does grow just about everywhere other than Antarctica and the Arctic. And but to Benjamin's point, I think the company is E3 Agriculture, and we own some hemp brands within that. It's 80% of our crop mix, but it's never good to do just one crop. And so we do rotate with other things, and we use, leftover qualified regenerative waste from sugarcane, banana fibers. So really, I think it's
And for
brought
our
me.
textile, we do the same. We blend with organic cotton to not be stuck with 100% hemp. So I think, the rotation in the field is also you can also mix fibers or mix different elements for your transformation process as well.
So,
Well, and just to finish that, I think this has been a crash course, and what it's shown me is the lack of innovation and in an investment in agriculture as a everyday item. When we think of farming, it's like, oh, corn for cattle feed and ethanol. Do we ever touch that? I mean, we grow 100 million acres of corn every year in America. How much of that do we eat? One of my advisors is a top scientist at Texas A&M who studies these markets for the last 50 years, and I think less than 1% of all the corn in America is actually consumed by humans. Most of
crazy.
it goes to ethanol and cattle feed, and
cattle
so
feed, yeah. Oh.
we're just
Why would
lacking.
we-
Where are we going to get? How are we going to replace petroleum? Stop cutting down trees.
So you say that you're putting culture back into agriculture. Now that's a great line, but I'm not sure that I understand what it means. So tell me what happens.
Maybe you want to go over it? Or?
Yeah, well, I think in the current culture, another way to say that might be make farming sexy again. I think there's been this.
Was that ever sexy, farming?
Well, certainly,
Right.
farmer needs a wife, but I think people now, most of them today, don't view farming and agriculture as a profession, and that's a problem. And so, when you don't have people interested in it, new generations coming up, then it's just left to old ways and old people who are just getting tired. And so, we're trying to make this a desirable, attractive profession, and just really tell the story of these farmers and the stewards of the land, because they're the ones providing everything and taking care of the land, air, water, and soil.
Yeah, I completely share this vision. My business partner is an art curator, and so she's a farmer and an art curator. So the first 4 years at our farm, we invited artists to come and work on like bacteria, transformation of living, alchemia, and to create representation of soil and representation of what farming is and what transformation is. And it's very interesting because we have ceramist artists that come and they use our clay, they transform it, and we sell them as an artwork, but it's also a farming product. And very interestingly enough, and that's something that we share with Lucas, that 91530 and E3
You have to say
Agriculture.
we didn't mention that yet, but 91530 is the name of your farm.
That's the name of our farm, and on purpose, we did not register it on any IP because that's our zip code. And if you want to make your provenance sexy, to take back your name, you have to promote your provenance, just like people call champagne because it's made in Champagne.
Yeah.
And so I think that this mix of creating a narrative approach using different tools and mediums, whether it's great architecture, great architects, great artists, great crypto people. We'll speak about crypto, I'm sure, a bit later, but all those communities touch Gen Z and different generation in a different way. And to make it sexy, it's not only to take the old myth of cowboy or the old myth of peticero in Argentina. It's also to create a contemporary version of it, which mixes technology, which mixes creative industries. And if you can bring technology, creative industries, and respect of soil and nature together, you might have a winner. But that takes, I mean, it's hard.
Well, and one last thing too, I think we see all kinds of issues in today's world: depression, psychological problems, war, and all these things. For me, it gets back to our lack of connectivity, right? We are humans, we are a part of the earth, and I think we lack that reminder because our industries are so far removed from that. I mean, we're here in Dallas. I'd like to know how many acres of that is concrete, and there are people who probably never touch the soil who live in the cities. And what industry and how would we align ourselves with nature? It's farming. I mean, this conference was great, but 4 hours before we needed to be on the road, the conditions were just right to plant. So what did I need to do? Get out there and plant. And it's invigorating. I mean, what do I need to do today? Well, let's look at the weather. Oh, okay. Golly, we're done planting. It's harvest time. Oh, let's celebrate. It's Thanksgiving, and then we sell our crops and we have some money. Now let's buy gifts. It's Christmas. Our entire calendar is set up around farming and agriculture. And when we forget that and we don't work in agriculture, then these things don't really make sense to us. And so just trying to get our global economy really based in soil and start to value it.
No Black Friday for farmers.
I mean, it's probably something there, but no, I think that's made up one.
No, no, but it's inspiring, and thank you for sharing that. To talk about, you just mentioned that, Benjamin, the idea of using blockchain, cryptocurrency. How does that fit in? How is that important to building your hemp business?
Well, it's I think the difficulty when we're doing what Lucas and I are doing on specifically on our own industry is that it's scalable to our own project, but it's not necessarily scalable to so many other farmers. And I was looking for something that would be able to value farmers that take good care and take good stewardship of the soil, just like we do for our own farm. And blockchain is an interesting technology. It's also an interesting community. You have a lot of people that are using crypto as a way to transfer value. The other thing is that if you want to create a transfer of value on small unit, like kilogram of soil, which is what we do with Soilonic, you have to make owning soil something that is a social idea and at the same time that is an economic and viable idea. So that's how we thought of Soilonic. We thought, look, this is culture because there's so many people holding crypto and looking at the crypto industry. How do we use this technology and how do we bring all those communities to understanding what means to have a healthy soil and what it entails? And that's been really interesting because that's how we met. And it's a way for farmers to receive royalty on the value of their soil, and it's a way for an investor, rather than just trading carbon credits, things that are very abstract and data driven, to own an actual kilogram of soil. And people go buy soil every day, whether you know it or not. They go to Home Depot and they buy kilogram. Mrs. Smith is buying kilogram of soil for her flowers. She should buy it from farmers who take good care of their soil and who are doing things like Lucas is doing to grow a very responsible farming for the future. And that's what Soilonic is promoting.
So this is scalable. As we said, you can grow hemp anywhere, everywhere. You just said, yeah, it needs to scale and that's why the blockchain method could help there. Where is this going to go? Where are we 10 years from now? Is the world rediscovering hemp and using it in a much bigger way?
I mean, I can say I'm here and screaming to the world and end up in New York and other places because everything from the biggest companies in the world down to my next door neighbor want what we're doing. Want and delivery is a different thing, and very few people, I think, just go to start somewhere, and they often just, it's an idea, and then the idea gets funded, and then all the money gets spent on administration and bureaucracy. And so we just took what we had and started planting hemp and grinding it down. And 2 months ago, we got a grant from the city of Taylor to move into an old cotton gin and retrofit the old cotton gin. And as soon as I did that, we had an article written about us in the Austin Business Journal. I have about 5 other communities who want to literally replicate the entire model from seed to shelter. We bring them the seeds, we show them the machines they need to harvest and process, and then we help them find markets. And so, if just a cattle feed alone, as long as cows are hungry in Texas, we're going to need to grow a lot of hemp.
Maybe
You should be more ambitious. You
I'll,
should be more ambitious.
maybe I'll make a parallel outside of the cows. Being French, we have such a history around vineyards.
Yes.
Consumption of alcohol is going down as we're seeing. Gen Z is not drinking alcohol anymore. It's 85% down. So even a country like France gonna have to reinvent what means excellence agriculture. Before, excellence agriculture was get a great wine, drink it, get a great champagne, drink it, get a great cognac, drink it. Now I think that the future will be, if you want the best garments, if you want the best cosmetic, if you want the best house, you gotta get the best hemp, because that satisfies two purposes. Number one, it satisfies the purpose of a cultural interaction with the soil and with the land, just like vineyards are doing. And the second thing, because it's good for us, it's good for the planet, it's good for our soil, it's good for humans' health. So I think if you combine this high cultural experience together with this feel-good experience for the planet, you probably have a winner. And my theory is that there's going to be large hemp growth, but there's going to be also very high-end hemp growth, because by adding very good transformative process and craft around like he's doing, like we're doing, the price is going to go up. And sometimes it's good if price goes up, because, you know, in China, they can do hemp textile for 5 euros the meter. We sell it for 35 euros the meter. Sometimes the buyers are like, this is so expensive. Well, we're not using any chemical bath to rotten the fiber. And the last thing, because I know you're Dutch, and we said that right before we discussed about this interview, you know, like this idea of conquering new territories, and the use of hemp for that, for boats, for Vale to go into different territory, is what we are doing. You know, we are conquering new territories, and the whole aesthetic and the whole history of hemp can be used and put back culture on the, I was going to say on the balance sheet because that's my obsession, but put back culture in the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you know, what we're doing is real and narrative at the same time. You know, the name of our discussion is called Paris, Texas. That's a great movie. That's also a great city in Texas. But what we're actually doing is that we're discussing between Paris and Texas on how to speak about healthy soil and hemp.
I want to end there because I just imagine these conversations with the two of you, and one of you is sometimes running out of the room, right?
All the time.
Who's running out of the room first?
I think we're doing all right so far. So we're going to.
That's because you're such an easygoing guy.
That's what he says.
We got bigger problems to address, you know. I mean, we know two things I want to say. During the American Revolution, we needed help to fight the British. And it was Benjamin Franklin who took 2 trips across the ocean, probably using hemp sails.
Borrowed money from the Dutch, by the way, but go on.
Okay, well, and the French as well. And so because of that, we were able to gain independence. And on the second front, you know, soybeans, for example, were an alternative crop 45 years ago. And they were just like, people didn't grow them. Today, they're the largest crop in America and around the world. So I think that's what we can expect from this plant.
Okay, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to say why our audience should use hemp for their, whatever it is, building or fashion or, you know, why? Give me first. You go first.
Since we're at EarthX, I think your audience cares about the earth. So I think your audience should be using products that are good for the earth, good for the soil, and that have a future, have a non-chemical future and have an organic future.
Thank you.
I think we're not going to stop wanting new things and building and being industrious. That's okay as long as that industry is derived from soil and from a plant that grows regeneratively like industrial hemp. So come up with your crazy idea. Go build a 15,000 square foot house. Go build you a yacht. just make sure that it's derived from hemp and, bio-based regenerative.
That was 25 seconds.
Thank you, Lucas Evans. Thank you, Benjamin Eymere.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
God bless.